I am here with Shabina Begum, and as you guys hopefully know already, I'm Jenny, the campaigns officer at Progressio, and we're just going to do a really short piece about Shabina and CSW and why she's here. So, Shabina, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, well, as you've already said, my name is Shabina Begum. I'm an international child abduction lawyer at Cornwall, and I'm also a human rights activist, so I work on quite specific issues such as asset violence, forced marriage, child marriage, and domestic violence. So now, the majority of the work that I do, I work with a lot of, I'd say, vulnerable women and children within the UK, so I'm based in Wales, and a lot of the work that I do is high court work where, say, there's a risk of someone being subjected to a forced marriage, or we've had a report that maybe that person has been forced into a marriage and taken outside the country, and in that case, in that scenario, we come in, we try and either get the relevant child back into the country or stop that child from leaving the country. And the other types of cases that I do are, you may be aware of the stranded spouse cases where, say, a British national goes abroad, marries someone, say Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, and decides after having a child that they no longer want to be together, so they can either leave the wife and the child in the country or come back with just the British child. So in that case, we work very hard to repatriate the mother of the child in the relevant jurisdiction. The more and more I do this work, the more and more hope I do have that the law does work, because we have had success cases where we have managed to bring children back, be it from Pakistan or other parts of the world. Because it's international child abduction, obviously it won't be just South Asia or Europe. We've had cases from America, Canada, wherever, and we have had success stories. And to me, it's not just the law by itself, but it's the corresponding countries. They normally do respond, and we are able to have a coordinated effort and success for that.
The next question is about the side event, which Shabina will be speaking at later this afternoon, which is the Progressio side event, and it's titled The Influence of Cultural Traditions and Social Norms on Access to Sexual and Reproductive Health and Rights, and what CSW, which is the Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Violence Against Women, has to do with it, so how we can use that legislation to really push this issue further. And Shabina, I just wanted to ask you what you'll be bringing to the side event, what your perspective is, what your take on CSW is, and how we can use it.
Well, I suppose in terms of what I was speaking about, so my focus will be child marriage, but not just within the UK. I'm going to touch upon some work which I did in Bangladesh as well, because I think that really brings into perspective some of the really practical issues that we have in terms of really young girls at the age of 14, 15, 16 getting married when they shouldn't be getting married. And I know because one of the focuses is sexual health, I will be speaking about how Bangladesh are dealing with the issue and what they're doing it right, and maybe we can learn from them, and how maybe we can teach other countries that are in a similar stage. So that's probably going to be my focus. And I suppose in terms of going forward and using CSW, I think a lot of the countries are very much trying their best to kind of move towards that particular standard. And I think from our perspective, it's actually how do we then make sure that they're well supported. It usually is a resources issue, and I think that becomes the focus, but actually it's about using the resources that are already existing in your country and how to use them better.
Yeah, so it's kind of creating these kind of country-specific plans of implementation.
That's it.
Based on capacity and where we need to build capacity.
That's it.
And could you speak to a little bit the situation in Bangladesh and why you think they are doing it well, and why you think they maybe have begun to crack it a little bit?
Yeah. Well, I think the main one of the main turning points was when Sheikh Hasina, so he was at the 2014 Gulf Summit, when she came to the UK and she pledged, like many other countries pledged, to end early and forced marriage. And since doing that, I do think it's quite commendable that Bangladesh have actually been proactive in trying to make very active changes. So be it setting up health campaigns or education campaigns, they've got those out there. And I think even now, 2 years on, it's probably still too early to say what the practical successes are. The fact that those provisions are now in place, I think for now, that's the success.
Yeah, so you can see like the desire of the government. They are putting the things in place. They are on board. They are involved.
And people are aware.
Yeah, fantastic. And then the next question is around inspirations and kind of. I'm interested to know like how you got into this work and how you became a lawyer, and I don't know, in your story, I guess. Your story.
No. I mean, I'm one of these people. I suppose even as like, quite a young girl, I've kind of been this activist for a cause. So I'm very much a cause-driven person, and I think the much earlier work which I did as soon as I finished college, since I started college, was working with women and girls that were subjected to domestic violence, so as a police officer. And I think once you become dedicated to a cause, you won't let it go until you see it through to the end. And I think 10 years on, I haven't let it go, but I've kind of started to open my remit up. So I started to become more aware of stuff like honour-based violence, which I think, being British Bangladeshi, is probably very culturally relevant. And even being British Bangladeshi and not actually understanding what honour-based violence is, maybe because I was fortunate enough to not see it in the same way as other people, it became more reason to fight that battle because I couldn't identify to it. And I think it's awful that anyone can.
Yeah.
So that was probably like the starting motivation. And the more and more that I've come kind of forward in doing this work and meeting other people, meeting other like-minded people, I think we all fight for the same cause, and none of us want to kind of end it up until the actual battle ends. So I'm here.
Yeah, and I think it's incredible that you can almost use your cultural identity to stand up and be like, I'm from this background, and I think that this is absolutely not acceptable. And I think, so often we just need to inspire people to speak out and to see the issues for what they really are. And can I ask you, so obviously we're at this conference this week and we're in New York, and I hope you guys can see the skyline behind us because it was a beautiful day. But I just wanted to ask, at CSW, have you been to any particular side events or government events where you thought, wow, that is really, really staggering, or heard any statistics which were just thrown by?
Yeah, I think, the talk that I did with Islamic Relief actually a couple of days ago, which was the Islamic response to domestic violence, for me, even as a speaker, actually, I learned so much from my fellow panelists, because to actually have an imam talking so openly about the issue and condemning it. And I think sometimes there's this, we make these boundaries that actually, because it's a religious issue, it's a cultural issue, let's not go into it. But the fact that
forbidden territory.
That's it. So, but the fact that imams are proactively now coming forward and saying, actually, this is wrong, then suddenly we just got rid of an entire barrier, and that means we have access to another entire community to try and prevent the issue. So I think just seeing movements like that, and I know that wasn't the only talk of faith community coming forward. There's others. I think it was training men of faith to combat domestic violence across different faith leaders. And the reason I think that's really sticking out to me is because one of the main hurdles that I've faced is, with a lot of women, is battling that notion that actually, no, religiously and culturally, this is not right. So what you've been taught so far is actually wrong. Yeah. And
it's getting those steps backwards.
That's it. And so let's start from the beginning. So I think it's phenomenal when you have someone that's actually from a religious background, who's religiously qualified, saying this is wrong.
Yeah. So someone that the community will trust.
That's it. And as soon as they're religiously qualified, so any questions that they have, they can get an immediate response. And I just think that's such a powerful way forward for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the next question's around CSW. Why is it an important forum for you? Why have you come this year? What did you think when you first read about CSW? Why did you think, I want to be there and I want to experience it myself?
I mean, one of the main reasons I'm here is because I was invited to speak. And I just thought it was such a powerful platform to have an open access to global communities that are doing this work. And I think, being an international child abduction lawyer, what you tend to realise is how much our community has become more and more global. No one now lives in the same place for too long. People are having relationships that cut across the board. So actually, when you have, say, from my perspective, a British national who's decided to, say, settle in the UAE, it's very important for me to be able to reach out to the UAE to get some kind of support, and this is perhaps the perfect forum for it.
Yeah, cool. So it's like the strengthening of global space. And then finally, I guess, you've kind of said that you're going to be speaking and you've already learned so much, but what were you hoping to get out of CSW? What were you hoping to kind of go home with?
Well, I think, it's probably a very big objective, but probably a better understanding of what's going on around the world. And I think it's been phenomenal, because you pick those up just from the Q&As, just from some of the questions that certain countries may be putting forward. Some of the suggestions are just phenomenal. And obviously I did want to kind of pick up a few connections here and there in terms of being more effective in what we do, and I think so far I've got that. So,
cool. Alright, well I'm really pleased. So thank you guys for watching, and thank you so much Shabina for joining us. And we will be recording the side event later today, just a panel discussion, so you'll be able to hear Shabina speak more to these issues in that video as well.